What's going on YouTube? Josh here checking in, back with some training footage. It's been a while and I wanted to film a bench press training session for you guys because basically, I had mentioned in the commentary video of my most recent mock meet that it's really time for me to quit ignoring my bench press. It's always been a very weak lift of mine, and because of that I've never really been motivated to train it, and I think I've probably been not pushing myself hard enough. So anyway, you can see here, this is the data from the push strength. If you were paying attention to the video, I actually did 4 reps, so that's why I'm trying to fix it, and unfortunately it didn't really find the data correctly. So you can see it says my second rep is at 0.06 meters per second, which is super slow. So regarding my bench press, I wanted to show you guys my setup. And this is one thing that I'm really focusing on now and really ensuring that I get very tight. So you see I kind of pull myself back, I sit myself up on my traps, and I know it's kind of hard to tell with the t-shirt, but right now I'm really just driving myself into the traps. My toes are up, and notice that my hips are still up, my butt is not on the ground. I put my feet out, and now I'm trying to walk my heels outward. Okay, you see that? If you notice, my heels just went out a little bit, and then I'm going to take a big breath of air right there, and then I'm going to set my hips and take the bar out. My hips are the last thing to go, and that allows my upper back and my arch to be super tight. And basically by driving my heels outward, I'm able to get more leg drive without basically compromising myself and putting myself into a position that will cause my butt to come off the bench. So this is actually my last set, but I just threw it in here because it shows pretty well what everything looked like. You can see here that the push strength again did not work. It's saying that I did 3 reps when I actually did 4 pause reps, and it couldn't find my other reps. So overall this is a pretty disappointing workout from the standpoint of the push strength. It really did not work for any of my sets. Maybe there were a few in here that worked, but for the most part it was really disappointing because it was next to useless when it didn't capture those reps. So I'm going to do my best to just talk over the training footage and ignore the push strength not working. I ensure you that I did 7 sets of 4 with 2-second pauses on the bench, and you'll see that a lot of times it just continues to capture only 3 reps for some reason. So regarding the 2-second pause bench, it's basically one of the best accessory movements for the actual bench press, and that it really closely maintains the specificity of the movement. So, like say the pause squat, for example, that's a great movement to help develop some of your strength out of the bottom and feel comfortable in the hole, but it doesn't transfer over necessarily as well to the primary movement because the reality is there's no pause in the squat. Due to the fact that you have to pause your bench press in competition if you compete in powerlifting, doing a slightly more exaggerated pause is actually very beneficial and will have probably the most carryover to your primary lift compared to any other kind of accessory movement. So myself personally, I'm particularly weak off of my chest. I don't really miss a bench if I've gotten it kind of maybe 3 or 4 inches off of my chest, and that's basically the area where most raw benchers have their issue. It's usually somewhere off the chest. So part of it has to do with doing a good job with your leg drive and kind of creating that momentum off of your chest to hopefully kind of have enough speed to go past your sticking point, but also it just has to do with simply being strong enough off of your chest. So part of it is the ability to maintain tightness when you are having the bar on your chest, when you're paused and you have heavy weights. So basically when I'm not using these very heavy weights, one thing to essentially make it harder is you use a longer pause, which will obviously give you that sensation of increased difficulty, so to speak, when the weight is on your chest, which again is pretty much where it's most uncomfortable for most people on the bench press. So regarding my bench, as far as tactics that I'm using to improve my bench and ensure that I no longer suck at it, the first thing I had already mentioned in the video is really focusing on my form, and I must give a huge shout out to my girlfriend who is also my training partner, and she kind of pointed out that my bench sucks mostly because my setup is pretty weak, or at least it was in the past. I was really just not tight. I was not consistently using leg drive, and as a result of that I just never really felt very comfortable with the movement. So really prioritizing my setup I think has gone a long way. Another thing that I've definitely incorporated is using a tremendous amount more volume than I would in the past. people always say that in general the bench press is something that you can recover from much better than the other lifts, and that's definitely true. For the first several weeks when I was really increasing my volume, I was honestly pretty trashed, but after about 4 or 5 weeks I was able to kind of adapt to much higher training volumes. And in general, I followed a scheme, at least for the primary movements, where I was doing generally much more sets. For example, in my last workout, I did 10 sets of 3 at 85% on the regular bench, just to give you an idea of what kind of volume I'm doing. Plus, doing all these sets allows me many opportunities to set up and gives me many more first reps, so to speak. So that's the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to give the video a like. If you're not subscribing, hit that subscribe button. And by the way, check out thestrengthdoc.com and follow me on social media. I'll catch you guys in the next video.
Should've told you I'm on one. Yeah, fuck it, I'm on one. Yeah, I said I'm on one. Fuck it, I'm on one. If somebody should've told you I'm on one. Yeah.